We do. So when you say, this is who I am, this is my gift, this is what I want to share with the world, that is how you are. Michael Jackson, it was his gift. And that gift made him very valuable. Quincy Jones, the gift. And it made him valuable. Now, people come to him as a consultant. You know what a consultant is? A consultant, by the way, is not a worker. He's a guy who just comes and tells you what to do. And then you do it. He doesn't do it.
How to do it, yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Do you know how much a consultant gets paid? Like some of these guys who come into Uganda today.
Well, I get paid $50 per hour.
You get $50 per hour?
Sometimes $100 per hour.
Some consultants get paid $5,000 per hour, my brother. So what you will earn in a year, a consultant will earn in 2 weeks.
Yes.
And he will fly back to his country. You know why? He has mastered his gift. He has refined his gift. He has added value to that and become a valuable item that people will just call him to speak for 1 hour and they pay him. Are we doing that as individuals? Are we lamenting? Are we going to jobs that we don't really like every day and just assume that that is who we are, that is where we are?
I just want to pay rent for my child.
I just want to pay rent for my child.
I just want to pay school fees for my children.
How long will you be paying rent? And remember that as we grow, these bills also increase. And also remember that everything becomes more expensive as we grow as well. So it's important for us to reflect and say, we want to create value in ourselves, for our community, and serve ourselves to the world. By doing that, trust me, value comes.
Mr. Toa, change is not an easy thing.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people struggle with it. I have the former executive director of KCCA seated where you're seated there, Andrew Chitaka, and we're asking the same question. And he says, it was not an easy journey for me to transition from City Hall after 9 years to now being a man back on the street to do my own stuff. But I think I fully understood that I needed to move, because if I don't move, it will find me. Mr. Toa, that said, on the CEO bench, we want to know today, was there a time in your journey of change management before you arrived at Stanbic Bank and later on to the Stanbic Business Incubator Limited, that you were scared of making one step? And how did you come out of it?
Absolutely. I'll be honest with you. Every single day, there's so many things that scare me. Like any human being. But I always say that every single day, do one or two things that really scare you. You know, the more you do them, they stop being scary. Fear is here. The uncertainty. You know, Eddie, if I told you that, okay, let me just give you a simple example. Remember when COVID had just started? The anxiety and the fear. You don't even want to even touch anything or even look at a guy because you're scared of COVID. But you see, we have learned to live with it for 1 year. We have learned remedies along the year. We have also learned that it's important to vaccinate, to be able to survive, and so on and so forth. But more importantly is to understand that fear is the only thing that can stop you from either being great or being amazing. And you know the problem with fear a lot of the time is because of outside perceptions of people, of what people will think. Oh, if I leave this CEO job, and I'm on the street, people will say, you know, you understand the attitude?
Yes.
But you see, when you have created, like, back again to the idea of value, a job doesn't bother you because you know the moment you leave that, someone will be coming to snatch you off the street.
That is change.
But you begin with creating value for yourself, to yourself.
Wow. Well, we're on the CEO bench, and this is Mr. Toa, is the CEO of Stanbic Business Incubator Limited, the man who arrived on the top recently. And as you can see, he's headed to greater things from that experience. Mr. Toa, change management. The principle is always to apply when moving out. Are there any principles that you have applied while moving out from one place to the next? And how do you communicate that as well as, you know, manage where you are going? Most people leave the job because a new person has come and they are no longer able to do what they used to do before and they need to get out. Or some people say, I've outgrown this place and I have to move and I'm going somewhere. So have you always communicated this? If yes, how do you communicate
I'll be very honest with you. The biggest mistake any human being can make is burning bridges. Always leave your workplace in a state where people don't want you to leave. That if you left, they're like, oh my God, we need to have this guy back. You don't want to leave a place and say, I'm handing in my resignation. The guy says, oh, Tumuwonye. Thank God. You understand?
Yeah.
But again, that just comes back into the issue of value. How much value? Because see, when you create value to yourself, your company feels it because you're also creating value for the company.
Yes.
You get it?
Yeah.
If I'm a camera guy and I'm learning more techniques on how to film, for instance,
and
then I tell Eddie I'm leaving today, you will want me to stay. You want, I'll be different from a guy who you call and I come in, not sober, and I'm trying to do my job and I can't actually do it well, because that's the kind of person you want to go. All of my apologies for that. All of my jobs that I have done before, I'll be honest with you, I'm working with them today. I'm working with Total in the oil and gas space. I'm working with Accord. I'm working with all of these guys, and interestingly, I have actually come back in a better position of, again, a mini consultant, a person who's coming to create value for them. Not in a situation where they're telling me, Tumuwonye, we don't have to deal with this guy anymore. So it's very important for you to understand that legacy should be part of your journey in any place you are in, be it society, be it organization, be it community. We live in very many places or societies where it's communal, when you live as a neighbor and people say,
we're happy
he has left.
Yeah.
That means you haven't created value. And you will go to the next community or next place and still be the same. Because you haven't mastered the art from within to create that value that makes people want to be attracted to you and create value for your community, society, job, or any place. And I think that's what's really crucial, Betty.
Well, the CEO bench is going to take a break. And when we come back, Mr. Otoa will dive into transformation. How do you create transformation? First of all, what is transformation? What is the understanding of transformation? Is he transforming the places that he has been to? Has he transformed the places he was before? And is he transforming the places in right now? And are there some quantifiable, justifiable, measurable metrics that we can follow as a man on the top? We'll be right back after the break. This is the CEO Bench. Your kisses and dishes are all welcome. Please don't throw a stone because you might be in a glass house.
My name is Dr. Jinpo Olowo. Thank you for watching House of Talent Television. I love to inspire people. I love to talk about my experiences and how God has been able to use me in the different exposures. And through the leadership, through change management and transformation, I've been able to do a couple of things in my life. Now, are you a kind of person who is tired of your status quo? Do you want your situation to change? Are you tired of what is going on in your life? Change is a fact of life. We've all been through experiences in the last couple of months that have taken us to a place where we need to do something about our lives. We need to change whatever is going on. So if you have not piled up investment for yourself, you need to do that. If you've not done businesses to hold your family in future, you need to do that. Are you thinking of full-time employment? You need to be thinking about your life after employment or your business in the next couple of years. So if you want us to chat, if you want us to talk about this, please get in touch with us at SEAL Uganda on number 0772443085 or check our website www.sealuganda.com, or on all the social media handles. You can hook me up or Facebook, that is Jinpo Olowo, on Instagram, Jinpo Olowo, and on Twitter and LinkedIn. Then we can chat a way forward with you. We can help you, we can coach you, we can walk with you this journey of financial freedom.
It is the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okila. In the studio is Mr. Tony Okao-Otoa, the CEO of Stanbic Business Incubator Limited, the man on the top, and of course is still rising. And we're sharing the idea of personal leadership. What does it take for you to lead yourself to move forward? Some people don't even know how to start or where to be. And he's talking about change management. How do you manage change when you're moving from one job to the next and to the next? What happened? Do you burn the bridges like Tony was saying? No, because we're seeing a typical scenario where he's back in that place, even earning better than his salary was before. So how do you get to that point? It's something that we're talking about on the CEO Bench. And of course, this part of the show is about transformation. Mr. Tony Otoa, welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much.
Transformational change is a process that we designed. For us here at the CEO Bench, we understand that one, you must design to create a significant change in the culture and work processes of an organization. And the procedure significantly improve in performance if you go there. What does transformation change mean to you at Stanbic Bank as the CEO, or as Stanbic Incubator Business rather?
I think it has very many facets, very many ways of looking at it. But I think for me personally, transformational leadership is really about not just about the whole organization, but it goes back to the individual.
Yeah, first. Because
it has to start with the individual, and then eventually you start seeing it having a ripple effect on all the people around, and your stakeholders, the people that you also engage with. But also transformational leadership in so much of a way is one that to transform, it takes a lot. It's a lot of learning and unlearning. Assuming that things are like this and should be like this because they were like this is the wrong way to actually make your move. You have to understand that so many things are transforming, are changing. We have gone through this crisis of COVID where people have learned that the digitization world or digital processes are very important in leadership, for instance. Leaders now have to go through that. If you want to transform as a leader, you have to also now take on board Zooms and team meetings and all of these. You have to get used to, can you see my presentation? Can you mute please? And all of this. You have to. Yeah. And these are things that were not very common 2 years ago. But transformational leadership for me is really about understanding that everything seems to be changing, and how do you as an individual, as a leader, work with that to be the ideal leader in that transformed environment. You can choose to be a guy who's not moving, you're static in one place, or you can choose to be a guy who is developing faster to be able to deal with those changes. I was reading a very interesting book. It's really focusing on very much around crisis and leadership and change.
Yes.
And the writer goes on to say that it's very important for a leader who is going to survive and be magnificent to understand that it's important to plan for the bends and the corners that you do not see. Assuming just because you're on a straight road that everything is going to be straight is the worst a leader can think or assume. So you're supposed to imagine that at some 10 points, there are going to be changes. There are going to be bends.
Pitfalls.
Look at Nokia as a company. When the CEO of Nokia was speaking at a conference where they had made losses and so on and so forth, and they were kind of closing shop, he said, we actually did nothing wrong. The only thing that we did was we did nothing. Nokia was the number 1 company. Boss, I had my small Nokia phone, I remember just to be on my belt.
Yes.
Where is Nokia today?
Yeah.
The likes of Samsung, Motorola came in and stole that market and kept on changing and doing things different. The iPhone came in. It came in to make having a phone cooler, sexier, nicer, and whatever. Things that static leadership of Nokia did not see. Transformational leadership. Assuming now, for instance, that, some of these soft drinks that you see, the competition that's going on with so many soft drinks that are coming into place, some of these big names had not actually factored in the truth that these small guys can actually come and take over your market.
Yeah.
Transformational leadership is about planning and preparing for those uncertain times, knowing that at the end of this straight road there's going to be a corner or a bend, and you need to anticipate and plan for it. And that is again where I go back to the idea of change. A constant. It will always happen. So what do you do when you're on the straight road? You start planning.
Wow.
You start planning.
Mr. Toa, we define change. Transformational leadership is something I speak very passionately about. And my definition of transformational leadership is a leadership approach to things that, one, causes change in an individual first, and then goes along to cause change in the social systems that transform the lives of many people, turning followers into leaders. That's how we define it here. But I want to take you to what is business transformation. First of all, we understand here as business transformation being a change of management of strategy, which can be defined as any shift, or as any shift, realignment of things, and of course procedures, significant movement to things, as well as the performance. But you guys at Stanbic Bank, or rather at Stanbic Business Incubator Limited, what do you teach these people?
I think what's most important for us to understand is that business is not really all about making money, but it's about creating value in society. And I think that's what we want to do. When you create value in society, the money eventually comes. We are creating businesses that are going to have an impact on not just a nation, but on the communities and the people that they serve. That for me is transformational. It's not really about money. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake you can ever do is to seek success. That's the biggest mistake. If you just stopped at the point of, I am not going to seek success, but let me just create impact and value, success eventually comes. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you see, you made success your goal, that you're failing to enjoy the process and what it takes to really get there.
Yeah. And
you're struggling to get there.
Yeah.
But when you engulf the process and you create about the value of people, bettering yourself, value, success just comes. And trust me, back to the area of value, or money attached to value, success is inevitable. Success is inevitable. You see, if you think about the Wright brothers, for instance, let me tell you a simple story. The Wright brothers wanted to transform the world of aviation, transformational leadership in the world of aviation. On the other hand, you had a scientist who was paid by the American government. He had journalists going around following influencers, what we call influencers today, following him 24/7. He was paid by the military, about $50,000 at the time, a lot of money today. At the same time that the Wright brothers were trying to fly a plane. His motivation, success. His motivation, making money. His motivation, being famous. The Wright brothers, on the other hand, transformational leaders, was, let us do something that will change the world of aviation. They never had the press or influencers. They never had the budgets that this other guy had. In fact, what is said about them is that they used to move with spare parts almost 19 times a day. They would try to fly, they fail. They try to fly, they fail. They try to fly, they fail. Guess who flew first? Or who put the bird in the air?
The Wright brothers.
The Wright brothers. What happened to the other gentleman? He packed his bags and left. He, in fact, abandoned the project. So you understand where I'm coming from when I talk about transformation. So this is what we want to tell businesses. It's not really about the money. And all. The money will come. But if you begin by bettering yourself as a business, adding value to yourself as a business, becoming impactful in your area of business, in your sector, the money is inevitable.
Wow. Mr. Tony Toa, to somebody who is watching you out there,
Yeah.
and is a business person, and or somebody who has been beaten flat, living in America or in the UK have sent their money down here back home to try and, you know, start a business, and things didn't work and they don't want to hear anymore. What would you say to them before we dive into the next set of questions that winds up our meeting today?
First of all, nothing is always clear. I lived away from home for close to 11 years. And it's just like you being here in Kampala and telling a guy to plant your seeds in Lira. It doesn't work like that. You have to be intentional. If you want to do business here, you have to be intentional. Make the time. If you want to do business in Uganda, we have now all these digital platforms that you can use. But most important of all, be intentional. Make the time. Come and see your investment. How many Indians and Mzungus do you see flying, staying in their countries and saying, we have sent money to Uganda, we are doing something? They come and spend time here. And the beauty is, this is our home. So as Ugandans, we can actually do more for ourselves here. So I never understand why one would actually send money to do business here or to, without actually coming and see where his money is going and where the investment is going. I know of several stories of people who've sent money to build houses, and the person who's building will take a picture of the neighbor's house and come and say, well, 2271, 2271. You understand?
Yeah.
You have to be intentional about your investment. Because you see, people in the diaspora work so hard for their money. It's hard earned. And for you to just send it and have someone play around with it, that is suicide. So it's important for you to understand that it's critical for you to come and look at your investment. If I want to plant soya beans in Lira, I cannot just send money and say, how many acres have you dug? Okay, and then just go back after 3 months. I have to go and make sure that while they're planting, how many seeds are they putting in? What's the spacing? How many, you understand?
Yeah.
And make sure that I'm following this process. And I've been a victim of the same. So I'm speaking from experience. So for you to really grow your business, understand what you want to do back home, be invested in it. Be intentional.
Wow. Mr. Tony Otoa, we're diving into our last part of this interview. The CEO Bench is very grateful, first of all, to have you today. And we want to run you through to a last set of questions, which are pretty much directed to where you are right now as the CEO. And our time is fast spent, but we'll run through this quickly. Number one, who do you look up to for inspiration or mentorship as Mr. Toa?
Mr. Toa, I have several mentors, business mentors, and I have leadership mentors. I have spiritual mentors. So my spiritual mentor, of course, is my parish priest in Mbuya. My business mentor is Agase Kalala. And for my leadership mentorship, most of them are dead, actually. There are many, but they're dead. You know, people like Che Guevara, people like Nelson Mandela, people like Miles Monroe. I mean, there are people who epitomize the discourse on leadership or what a true leader should be. So those are the people that I look forward to.
Wow.
Yeah. And
what is that one decision you wish you didn't make in your journey of change and transformation as an individual?
I think, I wouldn't say I don't have any, but I would say...
that one decision, when you look back, you're like, I shouldn't have made this decision.
That one decision. I don't really have that one decision. I mean, I always think that my decisions, whether good or bad, have been the reason that I am today who I am. You see, so it might have been bad at the time, but I think I learned from it to who I am today. So it ends up being a good thing. So I can't really pinpoint. I won't lie, Eddie. I would be a liar to tell you that if you had prepared me a month ago, I think I would have gone through my life story and come up with something. But for now,
yeah, you want to let that one go.
Yeah.
Mr. Tony Otoa, how do you keep your team quite very motivated despite conflict and obstacles as a CEO?
Make everyone be a leader in their own way.
How do you do that?
Work all in respect of each other. Work all in recognition of each other's strengths and weaknesses. But most important of all, always know that everyone has a play or a part to play, rather. Everyone. everyone. And the moment you do that, the moment you give people that ability, they will give you 100%.
And Mr. Tony Otoa, the CEO bench would like to know, what are those most important attributes of successful leaders today that you follow, that you walk in as a CEO of Stanbic Business Incubator Limited?
I think there are only two. One, people. They're people-oriented. Number one, people-oriented. Number two, they're always vulnerable, meaning that they are willing and seeking to learn every day. Two things. Vulnerability in the sense that you want to learn and become a better person. And number two, people.
Wow. This interview is coming to an end, and we decided that when you send your comment or kisses, we're definitely going to read and we're going to get back. I have already seen some people who sent questions today, and I want to bring this question to you, Mr. Toa. One of them is, can you please ask Mr. Toa what excites him very much every day he wakes up in the morning? He's always heightened. It's like the sugar levels are always up. What excites you? Somebody wants to know from France.
The fact that I have another day given to me, another day to make a difference, that alone is exciting. We're in a COVID time right now where some people are struggling to breathe. Just this air, just this oxygen. They have to get onto the fact that I can actually wake up and inhale and exhale.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I be excited? It's another chance to be a better person than I was yesterday. And it's also another chance that God has given me, saying, that's another chance for you. You go and run your day. That's what excites me.
Wow. This question is coming from my brother from another mother who used to work at UTL. Bernard says, could you please ask Mr. Tony Otoa during the CEO bench, what are you looking forward to in your new assignment as the CEO of Stanbic Business Incubator? And where would be your next step?
I think I'm just looking forward to creating an impact and creating value. And of course, I don't see myself staying there for a long time. I think there are better people with better ideas who can come and take over from me. You know, this whole idea of arrivism where you assume it's your thing and you want to hang your coat and assume the office is yours. No, I just want to do the best I can, create a lot of impact, and let someone else with more energy, more drive, more ideas come and take the play. It's always important as leaders to understand that the best thing you can ever leave your society, your community, is a successor.
Wow. Mr. Eddie Okela, I want you to ask Tony Otoa, when you finally have him the CEO bench. Of course, 2020 was a difficult year. 2019 was a difficult year. Many people's businesses died and some closed shop. But could you ask Mr. Tony Otoa, what is the best thing that has happened to him this year, 2021, so far, and how is he managing from the man who speaks about business?
I think it's the fact that we've seen businesses come back to life. That is what has really excited me. But also the fact that new players have come on board. That's just a good thing. You know, the fact that players have understood that in crisis lies opportunity. I'll tell you something interesting. In China, or in Mandarin, there is no word called crisis. There's no crisis, doesn't exist. Crisis is actually broken down in two words. It's, I think, Jiang Yu, which means danger, and then the other one, I think it begins with a W, meaning opportunity. So when people are shouting crisis, crisis, Chinaman is saying opportunity, opportunity. You understand? And so many businesses have seen that opportunity in this crisis. And I think that is the beauty about what has happened. And it also gave us a level ground, you know, a level ground for people who were not known to also now get to be known. Change of the status quo. That's exciting.
Wow. And of course, coming from you, the last question to Mr. Tony Otoa is a question that comes from a gentleman based in the United Kingdom. He says, what's the most important thing the viewers and the followers of the CEO bench who nominated you should be able to know about you, Mr. Tony Otoa? I'm one of the people who nominated you because I really wanted to have you, share your story on the CEO bench. This is your number 24th vote that came from the UK, coming from the one man called Dennis.
What should they know about me?
Yes.
I think I am a man of so many trades. I'm a hustler, like I said, a tat boy, DJ, news guy. But I'm just a lover of life. I think the fact that we are living, the fact that we're able to be given a chance to live, I shouldn't say I shouldn't be a love of life. I am a love of life. Yeah.
Wow. Mr. Tony Otoa, our time is up.
Thank you.
And this is your last question. What are those 5 qualities of a good leader that you would like to leave us with today on the CEO bench?
Okay, I think I won't really go into 5. I'll just go into about, I think, 3, which I think are very, very crucial.
Key 1.
People-oriented. Like I said, vulnerable, always willing to learn. And number 3, always listening. You see, the problem with us is that leadership has just been about speaking to the people. We've forgotten the tenets of leadership, which is really about listening. True leaders listen. And that is where wisdom comes from. And that is how you know how to take care of your people and how to steer that ship, like you mentioned before.
Well, the CEO bench has come to an end. Mr. Tony Otoa, parting shot from you, and I'm going to put you on the spot. There are 5 leadership approaches that we have. 1, transformational leadership approach. 2, autocratic leadership approach. And 3, laissez-faire leadership approach. 4, we're looking at transactional leadership approach. And 5 is what we call a transformative leadership approach. Which one do you use? Pick 3 and tell us why as you close the show and you're parting shot.
You know, leadership is quite interesting. You need to actually pick, and you might need to pick from all of those to really blend. But I'll be honest with you. The moment you start making leadership more of transactional or more of where people assume that for them to do a task they have to suck up to you, that is already a failure in your leadership. It's very transformational, very much people-oriented, very much about growth.
Why not laissez-faire? You said you can pick from a lot.
Laissez-faire is not your kind of lead. I mean, you see, let me tell you about laissez-faire.
Yeah.
And I'll end with this as the best example. When you see sheep are laissez-faire. There's no leader in there. Everyone is a leader. They're all over the place. When it's about walking into a cliff, they all just follow that one sheep and they all fall into the cliff or the river.
Yes.
The lion, on the other hand, that's a lion. It's a leader in the animal kingdom. It's transformational. And that's why you'll find that an army of sheep led by a lion will beat an army of lions led by a sheep. That's a fake.
Yes.
So let's be very honest about this thing and really understand that you need to understand where you lie and where you fall. So it's very important for us to understand that leadership has to be definitive. You can't be laissez-faire. It has to be definitive. You have to be strong. Just like a lion. You know, when a lion meets an elephant or a buffalo or whatever, the buffalo and all these animals run away. And yet, by the way, they are stronger than the lion. They are heavier than the lion. They are more intelligent than the lion. They are taller than the lion. They run away. The lion, because of its attitude, it sees lunch. That is a leader.
Mr. Tony Otoa, thank you very much for coming to the CEO bench. And I want to ask you, so if you were elected the President of the Republic of Uganda today, what would be your first State of Nation address now as you look into the camera and close the show?
I think my first State of the Nation address would first of all to... I think I'll just close it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO bench has come to an end, and of course, thank you very much, Mr. Tony Otoa, for coming to the show.
Thank you.
And looking forward to having you to the show. I'm sorry, guys, we're going to bring the show to an end, but somebody says, can we have a round 2 of that gentleman coming to the show? Tony, if there's a vote for you to come back to the show, would you come back? They
Most
want you to
definitely.
talk about the leadership more and the business. How do you incubate business from 0 to something?
Most definitely.
All right, so we're going to structure that on the CEO bench, and of course we'll ask Mr. Tony Otoa to come back to share that on the show. Until next week, we want to say thank you very much for being a part of the CEO bench, growing bigger and better every single day. And of course, please subscribe and be part of the show. If you want to reach out to Mr. Tony Otoa, look out for him at the Stanbic Business Incubator Limited. You will be inspired. Until next week, the CEO bench It's a wrap from us here. Until then, Eddie Okila, Tony Otoa signing out.